Morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, the 17th day of June, 2025. Hope you're all safe and healthy today. Hope your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with first responders trying every day to save lives, and those that pick up garbage, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are victims of pornography, prostitution, child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators. Double curses on all the profiteers. And double curses on all the perverts that create the demand of which other evil people provide the supply. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, and veterans homeless in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. First of all, congratulations to Deuce McBride on the birth of his daughter over this past weekend. Congratulations to Deuce. Mom and hopefully mom and baby were all apparently okay, and now Deuce is a daddy. So you know what I like about this iteration of the Knicks is that we're getting to see things that the Knicks management in past years never had the patience for us to see. And this maybe sound trivial, but you drafted Deuce McBride from West Virginia. You develop Deuce McBride. He becomes a major part of your rotation. And now you're seeing him go from a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid when he first came into the league. Now he's entered into manhood as a daddy. And so in all ways, you're seeing him mature. And that's a beautiful thing to see. He should be a part of the Knicks, hopefully, for many years to come. And again, a part of the Knicks rotation for many years to come with that defense. So, yes, congratulations to Deuce McBride. Today, I want to focus on Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet, last year, when you look at the regular season, there were 9 players that appeared in 50 games or more last year. 9. And of all, these are basically the 9 people that got rotation minutes. Now, among them was Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet played in 50 games last year. He got 15 minutes a game. Now, the difference is, hopefully this year, Shamet will remain healthy. Last year, he missed half the season because of the dislocation in his shoulder. He will provide, and as we got to the close of the season, and especially at the end of the season for the Knicks against Indiana in the playoffs, and actually against Indiana and against Boston, he started to find his rhythm. And Landry Shamet is coming to the league being known as a good spot-up shooter. That started being manifest at the end. If we could have had him the whole season, it would have been better production from the bench. A lot of people whining about scoring off the bench. I don't see that as a major problem. I think people overreact, and other people read those that overreact and regurgitate it. There's no problem coming off the bench. Landry Shamet, if he comes in healthy next year, and if the new coach, who I am hoping is going to be Taylor Jenkins, although I'm not sure who the Knicks are going to choose, it's up to them. I expect a full 10-man rotation next year. So this year, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Karl-Anthony Towns, Cameron Payne, Jalen Brunson, and Deuce McBride, along with Achua and Shamet. That was the 9 guys that played most of the rotation minutes this past season. I'm not sure if they'll retain Cameron Payne or not. I would hope they would, just as insurance. DeLon Wright only appeared in 14 games. He came after the trade deadline, and he performed very well during the April month where Brunson hurt his ankle, and Brunson was out for a good portion of the month of April. And DeLon Wright plays solid defense. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And he's a good shooter as well. He's not Stephen Curry, but he's a very solid shooter. Veteran guy, 33 years old, 32, I think. And I think I would like to see him back. But with respect to Shamet, the key thing for him, and as well as all the Knicks, is health. And again, beside from health, there was a June 4th article in BSPN from Ramona Shelburne that Karl Anthony Towns had undergone treatment on both his left knee and his ligament damage in his left finger. We could see during the course of the season he was having trouble with both. So that's good. It didn't say anything about major surgery, but he's undergoing treatment, which is much more minor than surgery. And so it's good. The treatment he's getting hopefully will have him prepared for training camp. Again, the only thing to really stop the Knicks this year is injuries. And so if they can avoid the injury bug by coming into camp in the best shape possible, in the best health possible, we will be in good shape going through the season. In previous seasons, we had been dealing with injuries to Mitchell Robinson and his recovery as we did last year, and he didn't come back until after mid-season last year because he was dealing with recovery from injuries from the previous year when Embiid dirty play cost him, the rest of the playoffs. We've been dealing with injuries to OG Anunoby, and he came back this year, and OG played 74 games. To me, in this era, you can't expect much better than that. OG played 74 games last year. When I look at the Knicks, the guideline I'm looking at is 72. If you can give us 72 games plus the playoffs, that's a successful season in terms of health, in my view. So McCall gave us 82 games, right? But this is the thing. Mikal Bridges played 37 minutes. Josh Hart played 38 minutes a game. OG 37 minutes a game. Karl Anthony Towns 35. Brenson 35. Deuce 25. Precious 20. So they all playing heavy minutes. If you expand that rotation, so now you have Ariel Hukporti, who only appeared in 25 games last year, age 22. I expect him to be much more involved this year because of his abilities that he showed last year. Hopefully he's not injury prone, but you have him. And then I don't expect a lot from Daddy at age 20, just turning 20 years old. He's still in development. Then you got Mitchell Robinson, who should be back from the beginning. So if you just add Hukporti and Mitchell Robinson, which we had in yesterday's video, you add them two to the guys you have, that's 12 right there, okay? Take away Payne, you're back at 11. And we don't even know what's going to happen with a couple of guys that are really on the margins. We don't know what's going to happen with Precious Achiuwa, who I really want back, but we'll see what the Knicks feel, and Marjon Beauchamp, who I'm very high on in terms of going forward. He's only 24 years old. I see a nice defensive wing there in Marjon Beauchamp. So we'll see how the Knicks feel about it because it's up to them. But at this point, I expect everybody that was in the rotation last year to be in the rotation this year, with the possible exception of Cameron Payne. And the reason I say possible exception is because I don't know how many guards the Knicks want to carry. They're definitely going to have Brunson as a guard. They're going to have Deuce as a guard. Okay, Hart is really a guy that you can count as three positions, and he will. I think whoever the new coach is going to continue to do that. The only difference with Hart is that he's not starting next year. I don't see him starting. He's coming off the bench, and I think that's his natural position to come off the bench. And if you allow that rhythm to be developed in his bench play coming off the bench, he's not going to play 38 minutes a game. But he is a closing type player, no doubt about it. Big time, clutch time, rebounder, defender, playmaker. Okay, so he'll come off the bench, but I don't expect the minutes to be as high, and therefore I don't expect the injuries to be as high. Even though the Knicks did really well last year with injuries. 82 games for Bridges, 77 for Hart, 74 Anunoby, 72 Karl Anthony Towns, 65 for Brunson, 64 for Deuce, 57 for Achiuwa, 50 for Shamet. I think we did pretty good last year in terms of avoiding a major injury rash. That really eliminates a lot of teams early, injury bugs. And you never know which teams it's going to be. You never know which teams are going to suffer that. Every year, there's teams that suffer a rash of major injuries that cost them a season, okay? And they'll end up trying to recover from that the rest of the year. Hopefully, the Knicks come in shape. They got a great training staff. hopefully the new coach will bring in his staff. They come in shape and be healthy for most of this year. So Landry Shamet, though, I expect him to be in the rotation. And if he can stay injury free, which I think last year I think it was a fluke for him to miss that many games and that shoulder injury. It was a fluke. If you saw the play, he was reaching for the ball and his shoulder just got out of joint. I don't think that's something you can expect to continue. I think he'll be all right. And that being the case, if he can get 15 minutes a game coming off the bench and he can get his rhythm going, I could see a guy that could average between 8 and 10 points a game coming off the bench for the Knicks. And so that, along with Deuce and what else you ever got with Hart or Mitchell Robinson or Hoop Porty or Precious if he's around, I think we're going to have a pretty strong bench, especially on the defensive end of the floor. Landry Shamet really surprised me last year on the defensive end of the floor from preseason. I knew he could shoot the ball. I seen him in Philly, seen him with the Clippers, seen him in Phoenix. He could always shoot the basketball. I didn't know he could play that well of defense. He was an excellent defensive player last year. Excellent defensive player. And so I think we have that. And to me, the bench unit is more important for its defensive prowess than for its offensive prowess. A lot of people stress scoring off the bench. That's been traditional in the NBA for a long time, since like John Havlicek. He was a 6th man of the year one time. It's been a traditional thing. You get some dude come off the bench, Vinnie Johnson, and score. Jamal Crawford, guys like that. But for the Knicks defense, if you can get some lockdown dudes coming off the bench for the Knicks, that's going to be huge. That's going to be huge. So, yes, Landry Shamet is going to be important going forward. I expect him to be back. I don't think there's going to be any question. He's going to be on a minimum contract. So it's not like he's going to cost a ton of money. The Knicks got $8 million under the second apron. I think, and that's including a hold on Landry Shamet for the minimum contract. So the minimum contract they would pay him is not going to mess with the $8 million. It's already included in the $8 million. So as a hold, so as a cap hold. So I think they retain him. Maybe he's only 27 years old, so he's in his prime right now. He comes in camp ready to play and motivated and knowing he's going to have a steady role and what his role is. And I have to say, Ian Begley mentioned this, and that some of the players didn't know what to expect from Tibbs. And that's role is really important in the NBA. Role players are really important in the NBA. And the thing about role is anybody that's ever played basketball on a junior high, high school, or college level, everybody wants to know coming into a game what to expect in terms of minutes. Some guys know they're going to play 10 minutes. Some guys know they're going to play 20 or 30 minutes. If you know that, you can adjust to the rhythm of the game, and your game will adjust to that, and you perform at a high level in that. That's really big time in the NBA. The problem that Thibodeau had last year is guys never knew. Shamet had some DNP-CDs. Then he had games where he played. I don't think that's good for him or for anybody. You want to have a steady diet of what your minutes are going to be. Precious, the same thing. There were games when Precious didn't show. There were games he'd come in for a minute and come out. No NBA player wants that. Okay? No NBA player wants that. And so, meanwhile, somebody like Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges knew they were playing 38 minutes going into the game. They knew it. Okay? And so I think it'll be better this year with respect to the minutes and with respect to the expectation of the player, which is going to help the players in their roles. And Shamet is going to benefit from this. Shamet is going to benefit from knowing his role, and he already does. His role is to play defense and shoot off the bench. He's good at it. And so you give him a role where he knows every game he's going to play 15 minutes at least. He'll be much better, especially during the course of an 82-game season. It's a grind. There's going to be games where he's going to have to play more, and there's going to be games where he'll get a little less. But it's an 82-game grind. There's going to be sprained ankles, soreness, all of that happens. And so you expect 72 games, which means a guy might miss 10 games. Fine. That's why you have a Shamet. That's why you have a Deuce. That's why you have a Hoop Party. That's why you have these guys. When Karl-Anthony Towns misses games for a sprained ankle, you got Hoop Party. You got Hart. You got other guys that could come in. Okay. Same with Brunson. Brunson takes a lot of punishment during the season, gives up his body, and takes a lot of charges. He gets a sprained ankle. He's tough as nails. We've seen it. He comes back. But he played 65 games. That ankle really was bad in April. And he was out. He's missed 17 games this year. That's why you have a Deuce. That's why you have Shamet. That's why you have guys like DeLon Wright. That's what you need, okay? And these guys, to me, I get some comments where the Knicks need to add bench score. The Knicks need that. I don't understand why you are ignoring what these guys already showed you. See, if DeLon Wright didn't come in April and do what he did, the Knicks wouldn't have finished the way they finished. And so by doing that, he has shown that he is capable of playing in that role. Okay? Why would you need to replace that? For what? For a fantasy of somebody that might be better? You already got him. He's already shown you what he could do. No need to move him or to try to replace him. Same with Deuce. If you got him and you know what he could do, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. So for some fantasy of somebody that you don't even know can perform in New York, you got guys that you already see can perform in New York. Okay? So to me, it's silly, some of this talk. And then some of these trades people be coming at me with, it's so frustrating and stupid. It's like, and then you can hear people listening to the BS media and regurgitating it. And I tell y'all, don't do that. This idiot comes on my channel yesterday. How are we going to get Towns to play defense? Like, wait, Karl-Anthony Towns is freaking all NBA. All NBA. Why are you questioning him? He's in his prime. They'll figure it out. How? I want you to give me one example how. That's when I told him a little bit about it. I said, you don't answer me rudely. I told y'all fools, this ain't no damn democracy. Don't come in here like that. This ain't the channel. This ain't BSPM. This ain't channels where it's for the fans by the fan. It don't work like that. This is for the Knicks with the Knicks. Anyway, we got guys that have shown what they can do. We don't need to change them. We just need them to be them. The team is built. It took 5 years to get to where we are right now. And we just come out of the Eastern Conference Finals. We're knocking on the door right now. So they just have to come in healthy, and they need a coach that knows what the hell he's doing. We don't need no guy that's never coached in the NBA. We don't need no guy that we just going to give a shot to because we want to see what happens. Nope. Championship window is open. We need a guy that knows what the hell he's doing and has shown that he knows what the hell he's doing by other teams that he has coached in the league. Okay? And that I think any coach, the character of this team, in terms of the core players, your Villanova boys, OG, Cat, Deuce, they're going to respect whoever the Don hires. They're going to come in giving that guy the benefit of the doubt from the beginning, unless there was some beef in the past that caused them to have bad feelings. And I don't think any of the candidates we're dealing with now, with Mike Brown, with Taylor Jenkins, with Jason Kidd. By the way, I'm going to put in the description box yesterday. We had just talked about this yesterday, how I don't think the Jason Kidd thing is closed. And lo and behold, Ian Begley, right? So I don't think Jason Kidd's thing might not be closed. So I'm not ruling him out. I'm not sure. I'm not saying he's going to be the next coach, but I don't think we can rule him out. I'm hoping for Taylor Jenkins. As I told you yesterday, a lot of you agree with me on that. Of course, all of us, the people's choice is Mark Jackson, but that ain't going to happen. So anyway, I don't think any of these candidates, whether it's Mark Jackson, Taylor Jenkins, Mike Brown, who I don't want, Jason Kidd, or anybody else like Johnny Bryant. I don't think any of these guys are going to have any attitude about that coach. When that coach comes in, they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. They're going to listen to what he's saying. They're going to try their best to follow the coach's game plan. Okay? And if the coach does have a record like Taylor Jenkins of knowing what the hell he's doing on defense, I think this is going to be very good for the Knicks. And I think we're going to have a very established 10-man rotation where everybody knows their role, everybody knows what's expected of them, and will perform that role this whole season. Okay, so Shamet to me becomes important because I love it when you get a guy that can come off the bench like he does, play lockdown defense, and hit big threes like he can. That's what you want. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. That's what you want. Guys that don't make a lot of mistakes, can play really good team and individual defense, can guard multiple positions, and can hit an open three with very, very high consistency. Shamet shot 39% from three this past season, and it wasn't a good season for him. I think Shamet will give us, over the season, he'll give us better than 40% from three. Especially once he gets in a rhythm of the minutes. Like I said, I think the next coach is going to give him that opportunity. And he's a career 39% three-point shooter. He actually shot closer to 40% during the regular season this year. And this wasn't a good year for him. I'm thinking you're going to get a solid 40, 42, 43% from him from three, which would be tremendous for the Knicks. And again, if he gets comfortable in that role, he'll continue that in the playoffs. And this is a big year for the Knicks. Whoever the coach is going to have a lot of pressure on them from Knicks Nation, from the media. That's why I'm going to give them all kind of leeway, because I know some of y'all ain't. You're expecting perfection, and you're going to be riding him like anything he wears, how high his pants are, if he blows gas, whatever he does, how he blows his nose, y'all going to be tripping. But stay cool. Let the dude cook. Right now, we need to stay cool and let the Don cook. People are making all kinds of assumptions. And you know what happens when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. Stop assuming based on what the media is telling you. Please understand, the media is into entertainment and generating excitement and generating reactions for clicks. If a trade doesn't work for both sides, for example, why would Memphis trade Jaren Jackson Jr.? Why would they even entertain that? When you have Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. under contract, two guys that are young, that can become superstars in the league, and you got 4 number ones, and you just drafted Edie. Why would you trade either of these guys? Why would you want Mitchell Robinson for Jaren Jackson Jr.? You know what? You wouldn't. And so people that come to me with these type of things, I can tell they don't understand what they're saying, nor do they look at it from both sides. Memphis would not do that. They traded Bane because they got Cole Anthony and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So they got a really all-star level player they traded, but they got 4 number ones unprotected, plus 2 very serviceable guards that can play with, in my view, both of them could play with Ja Morant. Cole Anthony has something to prove. He got a chip on his shoulder. And I like his game, so that's why that trade went down. There is no earthly reason why they would trade Jaren Jackson Jr. or Ja Morant. These are the blocks to build with. So people suggesting this are suckering you, and whoever is repeating it is falling for it. Stop being a sucker. Y'all enjoy your Tuesday. Sure.